Hey friends, you're listening to episode 10 of Hot Blooded. I'm your host, Kat Jones, and this is my podcast where I talk to people about love, rock and roll, and whatever else comes up along the way. I just got back to New York after a very long trip to the West Coast to quarantine with my family in Northern California, and it was the longest I've been there in about 8 years. So I'm feeling like a new woman, and I'm back to recording in my bedroom in Brooklyn, New York. Which is a very weird time to be here still, but it's much better than it was when I left. So anyway, this week's guest is Aaron Hurd, who is the vocalist of the super politically charged metalcore band Jesus Piece, and also the bassist of the shoegaze band called Nothing. And similarly to how I met Nate Garrett from the last episode, I met Aaron when I was working at Crang, and I produced their K-Pit video, which was filmed in this little dive bar / bowling alley in Brooklyn called The Gutter. And that night was pretty crazy because it was our first K-Pit video ever put on by the US office, since all the other ones up to that point had been filmed in London. So we were really anxious about getting it right. And unfortunately, we ended up sort of misunderstanding what the capacity of the room was. So we accidentally didn't RSVP enough fans, and the room could have fit far more people in it. But nevertheless, Jesus Piece is such an amazing live band that the pit was still one of the most insane I've ever seen in my life, even with 2/3 of the room empty. In fact, my coworker Chris got spin kicked in the face, and he got a loose tooth, which he realized right away and was really crazy. Anyway, we caught it on camera since we were filming the whole thing, of course. So naturally, we made a GIF of it and we sent it to the whole company. And I'm pretty sure if you search the right keywords, you can still find it on Giphy.com. I don't know what those keywords are, though. You'll have to figure it out. So immediately when the show was over, Aaron rushed out the door because he also had to play a show with Nothing down the road that same night in Brooklyn. And I just remember wondering, how the hell does that dude have the energy to go play another show right now? Like, he stomped and paced all over the stage and screamed his guts out and incited all kinds of chaos in that room. And then he just casually was going to go play a way bigger show to hundreds of people down the street. Insane. Anyway, Aaron has had a huge year this year for a couple of reasons. First off, during the recent Black Lives Matter protests after the murder of George Floyd, Jesus Piece decided that they wanted to raise money for Reclaim the Block, which is a Minneapolis organization which works to move financial power from the police department to other areas of the community. So they put out this shirt with a quote on the back from Fred Hampton, who's a famous Black Panther activist, that says, "You can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail the revolution." And the shirt was so successful that it ended up raising over $35,000, so much money that they decided to split the funds between Reclaim the Block and also two organizations from their hometown, the Philadelphia Bail Fund and the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project. So that was one of the coolest and most inspiring things I've seen in the metal world in a really long time. And the other reason for Aaron's especially wild year is that amidst everything going on in the world, like revolutions and a pandemic and a million other things, he and his partner Storm had their first child, Leo. And obviously, having a baby changes everything, no matter who you are. But between lockdown and trying to figure out how to make two bands work when you can't tour, and trying to figure out how to navigate a very unjust world run by greedy assholes, it seems like right now would be a very crazy time to raise a kid. Like, it would raise a whole set of challenges that I don't think any other American generation has seen quite like this before. And on top of that, prior to the pandemic, Aaron was used to touring constantly with two different bands. So this is the longest that he and Storm have been together in their entire relationship. And I think a lot of other couples are feeling the same way. So I wanted to ask him about all of the above, plus how love and the joy of fatherhood affects the songwriting process for a person whose music is traditionally incredibly bleak and negative, which is understandable given everything that's going on in the world right now. So I adore this dude, and I hope that you enjoy our chat. Man, I was trying to remember when it was that we last saw each other in person. Wasn't that like the K-Pit that we did was like a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah, that was a good bit ago.
Holy shit. I just feel like this, like, what a year and a half. Like, so much has happened. How are you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm doing pretty good. I don't have much to complain about nowadays, you know? I'm a new dad. Got the 2 bands, 2 records coming soon. And got some fun shit on the side I've been messing with too.
So last year, all of a sudden, you found out you were going to be a dad. Tell me about that.
Oh, it was fucking terrifying, mate. Like, I got the news and I was just kind of like, it almost was like the lights were on, but no one was home in a sense, where like my brain was moving so fast about just like anxiety and worry in all reality that I just like didn't have time to compute any like facial movements. But yeah, it was a pretty hard thing to really like just kind of take in, because I tour 24/7. I had like a lot of concerns, but once you see that little guy, man, or gal or whatever, little person, it just changes everything. All your worries kind of wash away.
So how long did it take you to like sink into that and like be
to like really feel like a dad, or feel comfortable?
Like not once you were a dad, but like when you found out you were going to be a dad, like what was going through your mind, and how did you how'd you come to the conclusion like this is going to be okay, I'm going to get through this?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have that conclusion until much, 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 much later.
Really?
Like, until he came, I mean, the whole 9 months, I was stressing my ass off. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to pay for like a baby? Like, I don't know. Like, I could barely take care of myself. I'm like a giant man child. So I straight up panicked for like 9 months straight. Shout out to my girl straight up, because she had to deal with me being like a neurotic mess through that whole thing while dealing with her own shit, like in her own hormones. But as soon as I saw him, I was like, holy crap, man. Like, I got this shit in the bag.
So what kinds of things would she do to kind of quell your fears about it and help you calm down?
A nice back scratch here and there really helps. But outside of that, no, I mean, like, we would just talk about it, Communication is key, really. Like, if we weren't talking about it, then we'd both get in our heads about shit and nothing would go anywhere. It would just be like tension or something. But the more we talked, like, the more things like felt better about everything, We felt more confident, I should say.
Right.
Like, I feel like nowadays with like, our age group and stuff, kids are like taboo in a sense, People are like, what the fuck? Like, you're having a fucking kid, dude? Like, what the fuck? Like, even I was like, what the hell? But
did you get a lot of that from your friends?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, I'm friends with a bunch of musicians. Like, our job is to be away from home, Like, that a family is like the epitome of home, and like you have to be there, Like,
right.
You don't really have that freedom to roam the world and do whatever you want to do, and not really have like a real, how do I put this without sounding like an asshole? Like a constant in a sense, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Now, like, even if I get bummed, I always have something I can look to and be like, life is pretty fucking cool, Like, music will stress me out to the point where I'm ready to explode, or like life goals, and then I get to just see my son and I'm like, oh, I don't really give a fuck about anything anymore,
Did you ever think that you would be the kind of person who would say that?
Fuck no. Fuck no. Kids terrify me. Like all my brothers have kids, so many kids. I don't even know how many kids they have at this point. I'm gonna be honest. And I'm like, the distant uncle who pops up and bust some jokes, but I just kind of like never thought about it. Like the thought just didn't enter my brain because I just stayed away from it so much, to be honest. Like I've never been able to just debunk in my head that it's not that bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just always had like a crazy negative connotation, but it's fucking beautiful. It's life. It's what the real meaning of life is. You know what I mean? Like having a family and, and being there for your loved ones and experiencing something that wholesome is like a game changer for, someone like me who didn't exactly grow up in such a loving life,
So to go back, he was born like what, 3 months ago?
Just about 4 months ago. He was born March 3rd.
Oh, wow. Again, this year has fucking flown by. Jesus Christ. I feel like quarantine baby, has just been like one giant blur mindfuck.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Tell me about, first of all, like, what was it like realizing, oh my God, we're going to be in the middle of a pandemic when this baby comes?
Quite frankly, we weren't thinking about that shit at all. Like, she was in the hospital a little bit beforehand, like, for some other shit. And then, it went right into her being induced into, having a baby. So we were there in the hospital for a good 2.5 weeks, it felt like.
Wow.
Not even felt like, it definitely was about 2.5 weeks just chilling at Jefferson. Like, got acquainted with everybody on the floor, busting up chicken salad sandwiches like crazy. And, by the time it came, like, we've only had hospital on the mind, so we weren't thinking about anything going on outside of it. But I'll tell you, man, if we were about a day or two later, I don't think, we would have been able to have friends and family at the hospital, Like, we just missed that cutoff.
Jeez.
Yeah. Everything was, like, super secure in there. You had to, like, wash your hands for, like, 2 minutes before you saw them and shit. Like, all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, washing your hands is so crazy, but
it feels like such a concept that we all took for granted forever, and now it's like a matter of life and death.
Yeah, for sure. Like, even with this mask shit and like people wigging out about masks and whatnot, like, you go to Asia, everybody's just chilling wearing masks. Like, they just fuck with masks.
Yeah.
Like, people here are so bad about that shit. It's so funny to me. I don't know.
I completely agree. Like, I will admit that before I was always like, why is that a thing? Why do they, like, why are masks a thing in Asian culture?
We
and now I think it's so cool. Yeah, for sure. Now I'm like, oh my God, it's because they're not being selfish assholes and they're being like, oh, I'm sick. I don't want to get anybody else sick, so I'm going to wear this mask. Like, why did we not adopt that forever ago, even with like the common cold?
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, you've known the answer to like a dumb problem the whole time.
Yeah, totally. Just like the most basic bullshit.
Yeah. It's like, fuck, why didn't I think of that shit?
So were you in the room when she gave birth?
Hell yeah, dude. It was crazy.
What was that like?
For one, it was like the craziest shit ever because, she had a shoulder dystocia. So, shoulder got stuck under the pelvic bone and everybody had to rush in and basically, have a tables, ladders, and chairs match with their insides to get them out.
Oh my God.
It's like 10 doctors ran in and damn, Keena, relax. So there was like me and her mom in there with her, and then when they were like, oh, like they're having a shoulder dystocia or whatever the fuck over the thing, like 10 doctors ran in and everyone just started, like, there was like one up on top of the bed, standing on the bed over top of her. There were 2 on each side, like pushing on her stomach, and then there were like 3 or 4 of her, 4 doctors in front of her, like nurses and shit. And like her mom looked like she was about to pass the fuck out, but like I was just kind of like like shocked. Like, I didn't see some shit in my day, but I've never seen something like this, And like, even initially when his head popped out, like, this baby was gigantic compared to her, Came out, he was like 9 pounds. 9'2" or something like that.
Jeez.
And his head came out, and it was like easily 5 times bigger than I thought it would look like. Like, I've never watched a video of somebody giving birth outside of like health class when I was in 7th grade, but there was so much bush you didn't even know what the fuck was going on, you know? Like, here, like, I saw that shit like right there, and for one, it gave me this insane amount of respect for her, because I don't have a good time dumping sometimes, and she pushed a whole baby out of her body, you know what I mean? Like, that's fucking a 9-pound baby at that, you know what I mean? That's terrifying.
Oh my God.
I grew up very fast in those couple of days. Basically, like, just seeing, you know, a human come into this world, understanding my responsibilities a little bit better, and coming to terms with a lot of my own selfish acts and, you know, like, things that I do with my, like, behaviors and stuff like that. Like, I just kind of had to confront all that stuff in a matter of a couple of days, and it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
It's definitely the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's so fucking cool, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. That's like, I've never tried to put that into words right now. It was kind of like a scramble, but I'm hoping everybody's following me a little bit.
I think so. I mean, I think for anybody who hasn't been through that, it's so hard for anybody to understand what that is even like. I mean, I don't know what that's like. I imagine one day maybe I'll know what that's like, but like hearing somebody put that into words is just incredibly cool.
Yeah, man. It was something to behold for sure. I mean, it's literally changed everything. Like, any problem I was feeling, any kind of like anger I was harboring towards like stupid arguments or something we had, like, none of that fucking mattered, man. Like, now I'm probably gonna get fucking married in the next couple of years.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like, this shit really like changed everything for me and like made me realize like what's important, you know?
That's so cool, Aaron.
Thanks. I'm not used to wholesome shit in my life, so I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. It's
funny doing this podcast because like I end up talking to like the gnarliest people about the most wholesome stuff, and it makes me feel all like gooey inside. I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
I see this dude scream his guts out on stage, and now he's talking about his baby.
Yeah, now he's talking about his life changing. Wow.
Yeah, when I saw you guys live when we did the Crang thing, the pit was so insane that somebody spin kicked my coworker in the face, and he had a loose tooth.
Yo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
shit,
sure.
Man.
I mean, like, I'm laughing. I guess he'll probably listen to this and he'll be like, "You fucking asshole, Cat." But also, that's really funny.
Dude, like, we started feeling like maybe it was a little lackluster because, like, you know, we only planned for so many people to be there, but the room seemed to have fit maybe like triple that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we were like,
I think that was our fault.
Weird,
I think we were told a capacity that was not necessarily correct. And so we planned on something, and then we felt bad because we were like, whoops, we could have fit like 3 times as many people in here. It's definitely and
it didn't help that I was playing another show right up the street in like minutes afterwards, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's right, because you had a nothing show right afterwards. Yeah. Jesus, what an insane
I just ran
time.
right up there.
But yeah, I mean, like, I mean, that's what I mean is like, I see dudes do insane shit like this, or women do insane shit like this, and then I get to hear them talk about beautiful moments in their life. So I feel very fortunate.
I'm glad, man.
So take me back. How did you and Storm meet in the first place?
You know, usual internet talking bullshit.
Really?
Then, yeah, like I was stuck in Rock Hill. No, it was in Montana or some crazy shit like that. We were driving back from San Francisco, and our van was like literally on its like on the last leg of its transmission. Like, it shit out on us in San Francisco, and we were like, fuck it, we're gonna try and drive this shit home, and it didn't work. We broke down in the middle of Wyoming, I think it was.
Oh my god.
Rock Springs, Wyoming, that's what it is. And it was like there was civilization, but where we broke down, we just thought we were in the middle of fucking nowhere kind of deal. So we just hung out at this motel for a couple days, and I was in a Denny's after finding some super sketchy gas station weed, and talking to my friend Dom about like bullshit. And I got a message, or like I saw this girl liking my stuff, and I was like, I'm about to slide, and I like made a joke to Dom, and I was like, Dom, who is notoriously like not smooth with words, I was like, yeah, dog, like, what do I say? Like, tell me what to do. And he like chickened out about it, so I didn't say anything. And then maybe like 3 minutes later, she actually messaged me, and I was like, oh shit, okay.
Maybe that's so awesome. The universe,
like passing some weird shit on. So after that day, we just like kept talking, and then it turned into more than that. And she ended up moving up to Philly and living with me, and we've been living together for like, what, 3 years? 2 years? 2, 3 years?
Damn, that's awesome. Where did she live before?
Alabama.
Oh, man.
Yeah, middle of fucking nowhere, dude. It just looks like Pennsylvania, honestly.
You were going to slide into her DMs, and then she ended up sliding into your DMs instead.
Minutes. Yeah, minutes apart.
Meant to be.
Yeah, seriously.
That's like kismet for the modern age.
Most definitely, man.
So you guys moved in together like right away?
No, like she was down in Alabama for a while, and like after she came to visit here a couple times, it kind of, I think like the contrast of city life versus being in the middle of nowhere in Alabama with a bunch of rednecks and right-wing cats. I mean, doesn't really sound like the best time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I'm pretty like chill about that. I mean, I don't ever mind having company, and will it be a loved one? That's awesome. So I just talked to the guys, and they were cool about it.
What was it like the first time that you ever saw her in person?
That was a little awkward. I don't know. We didn't like do too much. It was just kind of like trying to become acquainted. But she was kind of shy at the time, and I'm, pretty boisterous at times. So it was like a little odd. And then like once we kind of shook the dust off, it was cool.
It's always so interesting, like when people meet online and you talk so freely online, and then you meet in person, and it's like you've seen that person's weirdest, most inner thoughts on Twitter, and yet talking to their face feels so different.
Yeah, it's always weird to me. I try to like keep up with the both of them. Like, it seems like it's very much so like a thing nowadays where people are a completely different person than they are online. And whenever I meet people like that, I always try to like break them out of their shell, because I'm like, I know it's in there. Like, it's definitely in there. You just got to get a little more comfortable,
Right. I've seen the weird shit you post online. I know that you're a weirdo in there.
Yeah, I know you got some shit cooking in there.
Yeah, especially these days when, we're not really seeing each other in person very much. So I feel like we're seeing the inner thoughts of our friends far more often than we were before.
Kind of a scary thought.
We're getting to know who people really are.
Yeah. I don't think I really want to do that so much anymore.
Yeah, me too, man. Are you feeling like you're pretty sick of quarantine?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, dude, I could sit here and say that I'm fucking sick, but even when it wasn't quarantine, I would find excuses to bail all the time and not leave my house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I could sit here and be like, oh, I fucking hate it, but this is what I like to do anyways. So I've just been trying to keep busy instead of, like, going, like, cabin fever crazy at all. It's been working, but I don't know. I've been skateboarding a lot.
Is that something you did all the time before?
Yeah, I mean, I've skated all my life, Whenever it gets warm out in Philadelphia, like, that's when I go out. I don't really like to skate in the cold. It sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now summer's happening. I'm just, like, watching our summer go down the drain. That and the baby, too. So it's like, I got to pick and choose a little bit, too.
So before, when you were touring all the time, what was it like maintaining your relationship while you were on tour and like trying to figure out communication? Because you were in two different bands that tour like all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'll cut right to the chase. I am horrible at communicating when I'm on the road. It's a constant problem with me and my partner. Like, I very much get into like this swing of things where my days will just start blending into each other, and like a week will go by and I won't realize it. And, you know, the phone calls kind of get lost in this like weird slipstream of just being like, wake up, be stoned, get to the venue, play the show, be even more stoned, go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it just like this constant like wheel of honestly being stoned, and it ruins a lot of shit for me.
How have you guys had to work through that?
You know, I just get cussed out from time to time. No, I'm just kidding.
Sounds like you deserve it.
I definitely deserve it, for sure. No, like, I mean, it's the best way to, you know, get over it for us is basically I just like apologize a crap ton, and I cook a bunch of dinners and stuff. And, you know, I'm lying. I don't do that. I'm fucking I just honestly, yeah, I get yelled at about it for sure. Not like yelled at, but like we'll talk about it. And, you know, I try to be better with it, and I'm getting there, of course, but until I have a tour with a perfect attendance, I can't talk shit. You know what I mean? I just got to chalk it up. I'm a bad communicator. You know what I mean?
I feel like for a lot of musicians, this is the longest that they've ever spent in the same town as their partner. Is that true for you guys?
I mean, right now is the longest we've been together in like, I feel like a year and a half, maybe 2 years even.
Damn. Do you feel like that's taught you a lot about communication?
Yeah, for sure. It's taught me a lot about myself, and, you know, it's highlighted a lot of issues that I definitely need to figure out for myself. Just as far as like communication goes, and getting stuck in like mood swings and stuff like that, and learning how to work through them instead of just, you know, just leaving and going somewhere. I can't really do that. I kind of have to confront everything now, you know?
Right.
And it's healthy, you know, it's hard, but it's for the best, you know? That's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Like you're stuck in the same house. You can't like can't be like, well, I'm hopping in the van. I'm gonna talk to you in a couple of days. Like you have to look them in the eyes.
Put my phone down. It's kind of shit. Yeah, I just gotta be like, fuck yeah. Sorry about that. The sacred sorry.
So, what would you say that Storm has taught you about life?
About life?
Yeah.
A lot, honestly. Like, she's actually sitting across the table from me right now. But she's taught me a lot about life. You know, I've never known anybody from fucking Alabama, or anyone who'd like, you know, really live there and experience living in the South and growing up in the South, you know. And she's half Native American, and she's taught me a fuck about that, you know. Like, I didn't really know too much. It's like about, you know, the issues, you know, surrounding the society and whatnot. And I would honestly, like, it sounds like I wouldn't know about it, but I wouldn't be as versed in it as I am now, because like without her. And I mean, outside of those two things, like, she's taught me a lot about love, and a lot about communication, and a lot about just being a good person, you know. Like, right. We're from Alabama, we grew up the same, so like, you know, we hang out like we would hang out, like we've known each other forever, basically. Like, because of our upbringing being so similar, we're very similar in a lot of different ways. So like, we busted up, we curse each other out and shit. Like, when we all know it's fun and games. Like, hell, I get cursed out more than I curse her out. It's funny, you know what I mean? But like, it's just, I never thought that I could find another person that is as similar but super fucking different. You know what I mean? Like, it made me feel like it's possible to get by, you know, making friends with people who are so much different than you, because under the surface there can be so much more to these people that you relate to, you know? Like, I guess the classic don't judge a book by its cover shit, but like, not so much focused on, you know, looks or anything like that.
That's awesome.
That makes any sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. That's so cool. So, something that I hear all the time from all kinds of people is that, like, you know, when women give birth, they bond with the baby like right away. And for men, it takes a little bit longer. Do you feel like you experienced that, or do you feel like the bond happened like right away?
You know, it did take a little bit. I mean, like, the bond was there. Like, I looked at him like, well, yeah, this is my baby and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it felt good. But,
right.
Like, that kid fucking hated me for like the first month or two.
Really?
Like, I would pick him up and he would hold my, like, he would put his hands on my shoulders, stare me directly into the face, and just scream into my face, like, looking me in my eyes. I was like, well, damn, fool. Like, so you only fucking got my chromosomes and shit in you. Like, what the hell? You don't know me now or something? Like, but once that, like, went away and he, like, you know, it's like the most subtle shit in the world, because, like, he'll just, I'll be holding him one day, like, you know, and he'll just grab my arm back as if, like, to hold it for security. Something that small where, you know, in his brain, it's starting to, you know, like, process, like, this is someone I can trust. You know, like, those small, intimate moments, like, they're life-changing things, you know? Like, you've got this blank disc in front of you, basically, and it's up to you to load the correct programs on it, you know? And as it slowly comes together, like, every single day, something new is happening, you know? It's, I don't know. It's, well, I dive too deep on it, but.
No, I love it. I love the metaphor
like
about, like, it being a blank disc that you have to load the right programs on. That's,
yeah, man. You don't want to corrupt your hard drive before it even starts. This is your man. Like, but just to see, like, all these, like, core functions coming, you know, manifesting right in front of you is awesome. And in that foundation, it's this love for you, a love that you probably could never understand in all reality, you know?
Right.
Like, the love you have for your parents, of course, like that, you know, deep down, like, spiritual love, you know, like, that's your family. You're seeing that develop directly in front of your eyes, and it's untouchable, man. It's next level.
Wow. That's so awesome. How did it feel the first time that he grabbed onto you for security, or, like, let you hold him without screaming and stuff like that?
Both of those times were incredibly moving, and I cried both times.
That's so awesome.
Dude, I cry all the time. I can't help it. I'm, like, hanging out, and he'll just be crying or something, like, super hard, and, like, screaming, and I'll hear it from downstairs, and I'll just come up and be like, what the hell's going on, little man? And he'll just look and just give me this huge smile, and I'll just be like, damn, fools. Like, I worked my whole life to feel that kind of happiness, and you just gave it to me in, like, a blink of a second. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's like magical in a sense. Like, I want to say it's like unnatural, but it's literally natural. It's like right. The epitome of natural.
Yeah, it's like the textbook definition of natural, but still.
But it feels so unnatural, so out of this world. But oh man, it's crazy. I feel like I'm talking about, like, the love of my life right now. I'm, like, googly eyed talking about my kid. It's crazy. I think this is the most I've vocalized about having a kid and being stoked about having a kid. To be honest,
I'm honored that you would share that with me.
Yeah, well, I went into this podcast knowing what it is, and I was like, well, you can't come in there being fucking invulnerable and not, like, talking, you know? I want to come up here and just be like, yeah, I scream and I love people sometimes.
I'm Aaron Hurd, and I scream and I love people sometimes.
Yeah, I do love sometimes between music, but no, this is cool. I don't get a chance to talk about the positive things in life much. You know, I sing about very negative things. I feel negative things a lot of the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. This is a positive change of pace. You know, continuously vocalizing such negative shit all the time. You know, you manifest it sometimes, even when you don't want to, and it sucks. And it starts to take a toll on, you know, the human psyche. So it's good to do things like this to balance it out.
So do you feel like, as an artist, that this will influence your art to be different, or do you think you're going to keep on channeling the negativity into that stuff?
Well, I mean, whether I have a baby or not, I'm still like an incredibly angry person at times. So like, I don't think that's going anywhere.
Right.
It's a little harder to write songs. That's really it. Because when I do write, I don't like to write some bullshit or something that I don't truly feel to my core. Mm-hmm. So that when we play, I'm not faking the funk. Like, you're really getting that anger out of me. You know what I mean? And with things going so well, it's going to be kind of hard to write about things that I'm angry about, because I'm not really angry about much anymore. You know what I mean? So that's like, it presents a bit of a, like, you know, a challenge, but I mean, I'm not scared of shit. You know what I mean? I've been doing this shit for like 10 years now.
Totally. And, you know, I mean, you guys just did something recently that I thought was incredibly cool. That, you know, obviously there's so much to be angry about in the world right now, but you guys spun that in a really positive way by raising, like, what was it, like $35,000 for those 3 charities with that shirt?
Yeah, there's actually, you know, still fundraisers up. Like, that shirt alone did, you know, over 35K, but we still have some of the money so we can, you know, ship all the shirts out and whatnot. And once that's done, we're going to donate the rest of that too. But outside of specifically just the American one, we have you know, the Europe fundraiser, and we just sorted out one with Makoto from a band called Sand in Japan. He has a store called Afterbase. It's like the fucking Babe store in Osaka, Japan, straight up. And he, you know, hit me up to do a collab basically, and like wanted to bring these shirts to Japan. So he, you know, did the original shirt and a newer shirt that I did with, you know, brown bag lunch on the front, and then Malcolm X quote on the back. So those 2 shirts will be running in Japan for like a month.
Oh, so cool.
So I like, it's just about like, you know, like I've written political songs and stuff, and people, you know, sometimes look at us as a political band, but like, we're, you know, me, Lou, as people of color, like, we don't really have a choice but to be political. You know, our existence is political, you know, like, right. It's not like one day we're going to be a fast party band and now we're, you know, like we would be stupid not to be talking about what the fuck is going on right now. You know what I mean? And with the platform that we have, yeah, we could speak all we wanted to, but we could also fucking fundraise, man. And we all kind of just made that happen because it needed to happen. I think it needs to happen more often, really, you know?
I agree.
Like, especially if we want to move, you know, past police and whatnot. Like, we all really have to come together as a community and start looking out for everybody, you know? And I just want to do my part, and JP wants to be the change that we want to see, really.
Well, hell yeah. I mean, it's incredibly awesome, and your music is the perfect fuel for that, too. I feel like,
for sure.
Like, yeah, like, if I want to get hyped about getting political and, you know, getting angry about things that we should all be angry about, listening to a Jesus Peace record is a great way to do it.
Most definitely.
How does it make you feel when people are like, keep politics out of music? Like, dude, like we're seeing all the time.
I just want to ask them, like, where the fuck were you in like the last 30 years? Like, where have you been, dude? Like, some of like the biggest fucking musical happenings in America have been like centered around politics. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Most of the biggest bands talk about politics. Rage Against the Machine. People were talking about keep politics out of this. Like, Rage Against the Machine, man. What the fuck are you talking about?
I saw that like a couple weeks ago or whatever, and I was like, what the fuck did they think was going on this whole time? I just don't understand. I mean, even the music that like my parents raised me on, like, you know, 70s folk, like songs like Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, like about the Kent State shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how...
And think about that Kent State shooting, like, I'm not trying to downplay it or nothing, but just the Kent State shooting that has lived all this long, and the shit that's going on today in comparison, like, it seems like the things that they went through then, like, things now should be way, 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 way bigger. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They felt it necessary to write about that shit in, you know, American history books. which they leave a lot of shit out of.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And even if they chose to write about that, like, it's still like a brutality issue. Like, what the hell, man? Like, just be consistent, you know?
What drives me crazy is that it's our boomer parents who listen to this stuff, and yet it's their generation that doesn't seem to understand what we're fighting for right now. And I just want to like put all their records in front of them again and be like, did you forget?
Yeah, straight up. Like, what happened? Fox News washed them out.
For real. Yeah, sometimes even the more liberal channels, like I've been in California for a lot of quarantine, and watching my parents watch the news every night has been really eye-opening to me, because I don't have normal TV. I think most of our generation does not have normal TV. No need for it. So when you see the fear-mongering happening on like cable news, it is like a visceral experience. It's so weird. And our parents are watching that every fucking day.
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I've been like watching like some COVID shit from time to time to keep up with it, and like just like seeing some of like the Trump commercials and stuff like that. Like, you would think that people were literally having a race war right now.
Totally.
Like, you would think that. I mean, there kind of is, you know what I mean? But like, you would think that it was like people really out here like going at it, you know, like. It's almost past just regular fear mongering. Like, I feel like this dude is like mobilizing in a sense, you know?
Yeah, it's really, really terrifying propaganda.
Fuck yeah.
So when you're
Trump's a bitch, though.
Oh, for sure. You are 100%, 110% correct. So, you know, being a brand new dad while all this is going on, have you been thinking about how you're going to tell Leo about this stuff growing up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I planned on doing that already. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't plan on pulling any punches and talking about American history. Like, I don't plan on putting him in school. Like, we're going to homeschool him and just fucking make sure he gets everything like straight. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Thinking about us being in school and like through grade school and like grades like, you know, 1 through fucking 6, you don't really learn jack shit. You know what I mean? Like, you just touching the tips of like geography and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't really want to waste all that time trying to teach my kid and also paying the taxes and all that other shit for it. I'd rather just literally put him on the right track that he needs to be on. And if I can get him to a level where he's ready for, you know, a college education or to move past that way before 12 years, then I've done my job. And then just be a good dad from there on. Be there for him, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I didn't have.
Yeah, that must be a really insane thing, like breaking that cycle.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's the reason why I get so emotional as much as I do with my son, because I'm like, I don't even know, like, I'm not even mirroring anything. Like, this is all just fucking completely new to me. And it's something else, man. It is something else. In a good way, of course, but.
How do you feel like Leo being in your life has, like, changed you as a person?
You know, I really, really needed to do this already, but I stopped looking at my life like it's only the present. Like, I've ran away from the thoughts of the future for my entire adult life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've avoided so much shit that I needed to take care of, and I've neglected the real part of life, like actual life, for music so long that I got into only living in the moment. And while that's really great for sometimes, for a family, that's not the fucking move. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just it's really just switched up my entire mindset. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking a year or two ahead of time anymore. Like, I need plans. I need to get to it.
That's incredible. What an awesome 180 to do.
Yeah, seriously, like, partying nonstop. I mean, like, I still party from time to time, but like not nearly as much as I was doing with all my friends and on tour and all that shit. Took a big step back from all that and just kind of like really grounded myself.
So now when you hear your friends talking about like, why would you have kids, or like evangelizing the idea of like not having kids because the world sucks or whatever, how do you respond? What do you tell them?
I want to say something like, nice and inspiring, but I'm always like, I totally understand, because in all reality, like, we were just talking about the state of the U.S. Like, this is not a good environment to bring a child into.
Totally.
In all reality. However, life throws its fucking, its lefts and rights. All you can do is dip them. And I'm not saying that in like a negative connotation as far as my family goes, but I mean more so like, this is the cards that we're given and we're going to play with them, this is our hand. But if and when my friends do talk about it, I'm always like, you could definitely learn something from having a child. You know what I mean? I always make that a point. But like, you'll learn a whole lot about yourself. You think you know yourself now, you know what I mean? Like a lot will come to light when you have to realize and look down that barrel of, real life.
Totally.
Like, real fucking life, But I'll never sway anybody for like feeling like it's corny to have a kid, because, I felt the same way.
Totally.
If you're not built to have a kid, do not have a kid, because we don't need anybody else that's all fucked up anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we need people who are going to take care of their kids and show their kids wrong, like right from wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you aren't ready to have a kid, or you feel like that's not your thing, don't fucking have one. Like, don't do that to yourself. But
don't do that to the world.
Yeah, most importantly, you don't want to put another, bad apple, quote unquote, out here. Our parents fucked so many people up that now we got to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, we have to clean up the pieces.
Yeah, literally. So, yeah, no, I never spent anybody for not wanting to have kids. Hell yeah. But if you did want to have kids, I'll tell you that shit is fucking cool as hell, and you'll never feel anything like it.
That's so cool.
So if you're listening and you want to have a baby, do that shit. Unless you don't, then don't do that shit.
So overall, how would you say that having a kid has changed your relationship with Storm?
Oh, dude, it changed it in so many ways, but every single way it all groups into the same. It's just made our relationship real. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that it wasn't when we were dating, but this isn't just some like boyfriend, girlfriend, my boyfriend's being a dick thing anymore. Like, this is my life partner.
Right.
Like, no matter what happens, no matter how we fight, even if we're not, together anymore, like, this is still my partner for the rest of my life, making sure that this little guy has the best experience that he can have in such a shitty world, And that's going to take a lot of hard work. And I'm going to need a partner to do that. And she's going to need one, and we both understand that.
And what advice would you give people about how to maintain a relationship like that?
Listen and fucking act, you know what I mean? You say you're going to do something, do it. You feel like there's some issues going on, address it, talk about it in a positive way, in a healthy way. Get to the bottom of it, because at the end of the day, it's up to you and your partner to make things good, no one else,
That makes sense to me.
That's really it. Yeah. Like, it seems like a very, like, normal and, like, well-known thing, but it's not, Just listen to your partner. You'll figure out what you need to figure out, That's it.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much.
Dude, anytime.
This has been really, really, really beautiful, and I'm so happy for you guys.
Hey, thanks,
and
man.
for Leo, because he's got a good set of parents.
Thanks. That means the world to me. I appreciate that.
Of course.
But, dude, it's been good talking.
This episode of Hot Blooded was hosted, written, and produced by me, Kat Jones. It was edited and co-produced by Evan Dulaney, and the theme song was written by Jordan Olds. The logo was made by Corey Largent, who goes by Insane Clam Pasta on Instagram, and additional graphics were made by Jonathan Amaya. Thank you so much to everyone who subscribed on Patreon, but especially those who subscribed to the Lover tier: Janet Talenko-Davis, Mark Bassett, Rob Menzer, Ryan Carty, Ronnie Rodriguez, Benny Bobo, and the band Drug Salad. If you feel like subscribing, that's definitely the best way to help out. You can find it at patreon.com/hotbloodedpodcast. I do fun things like write essays and give playlists and do AMAs, and it's just a great community place for all of us to talk to each other. I always give 20% of the money away to an organization fighting racial inequality. July's donation will go to the Black Hills Legal Defense Fund, which will pay the legal fees for the Indigenous treaty defenders who were arrested when they blocked the road to Mount Rushmore on Friday, July 3rd, when Trump was on his way to make his speech. If you ever want to shoot us a tip but don't want to subscribe, you can Cash App us at hotbloodedpodcast. To learn more about the show, head to hotbloodedpodcast.com. And if you have any comments, concerns, love letters, whatever, you can send them to me at hotbloodedpodcast@gmail.com. See you next week. But in the meantime, check in on your friends, even the happy ones. They'll be glad you did.